lower education in Alabama. And that's exactly what he did.
And you should not be able to see those data. From The Lancet, Twitter went a step further and had their 27-year-old liberal arts majors lock down the president's campaign account until the campaign deleted video of themselves. In other words, kiss the ring, said Twitter. We won't just erase the video, we need you to bow publicly to our authority and do it yourself. This has implications far beyond the election, far beyond who becomes president in January. This is about how much power the tech monopolies will have. It's about how much power the professional class can continue to wield as the middle class dies. Technology executives in San Francisco are the product of those institutions, of left-wing universities. They've been trained to dislike the country that made their success possible, and they very much do. So anything they do that can weaken social cohesion in this country or trust in our institutions is, of course, appealing. And that includes pushing mail-in voting, which everyone knows abets voter fraud. That's why big tech is pushing that. It's why they're backing radical politicians and DAs like Chessie Boudin in San Francisco. People like that degrade and destabilize our country. But Silicon Valley is in favor of that and has been in favor of that since 2016. And they've been getting away with it. Saagar Enjeti is an opinion host at The Hill.
Who Donald Trump is, and once again, he's told us over and over again who he is. A lot of people have chosen to ignore it, but it's coming back again at a crucial time.
You know, people, Jason, normally wake up from the Donald Trump cult of personality when it hits them personally. Michael Cohen is one of those guys who was the attack dog for Donald Trump for a long time. He was willing to get real nasty with Donald Trump's opponents, but then he found out, you know, that Donald Trump has no loyalty, and he ended up going to jail after doing his bidding. Here is the Michael Cohen. This is a recent interview that he actually gave to our own Lester Holt, and this is a pretty scary thing he said, but I want to let you react to it.
Do you think he'll win another term as president?
But Donald Trump will do anything and everything within which to win. And I believe that includes manipulating the ballots. I believe that he would even go so far as to start a war in order to prevent himself from being removed from office. My biggest fear is that there will not be a peaceful transition of power in 2020.
You know, Jason, you know, listen, it took a lot of bravery for people like John Lewis to take blows to the head in order to vote. It feels like it's going to take a lot of personal courage and people having to stand in lines with COVID out there, people having to overcome that fear. It's going to take a lot of determination. And I worry that sometimes the things that people say Donald Trump could do will make people scared. But what do you think is the balance right now of sort of voter courage versus voter fear?
So right before this segment, I was actually texting with friends of mine in North Carolina. I said, did you guys start today as early voting? And they're like, we didn't know, because there are polling places around the corner from their house. We have to remember that a lot of the fear-mongering that Trump engages in, it's not what people are experiencing day in and day out. A lot of people, their polling place is close to them. It's someplace they can go to. So between that and the people asking for mail-in ballots, I think most people don't necessarily live in that fear. What I am most concerned about is not how people vote, it's the count afterwards. It's sending out Proud Boys and neo-Nazis and terrorists and all these white nationalists to polling stations to threaten the vote counters, to threaten the people who are supposed to be collecting the information. It's the manipulation from Russia or the White House after the fact. That is where I think that we should be really concerned. And again, I got to point back a little bit with Charlie. There are no persuadables at this point. There's no one who just woke up to this. Everybody knows Donald Trump is a bad guy. This election is purely about turnout. Can the Democrats get their people to vote and then get those votes fairly counted? Because there's not one person in America that heard that Donald Trump doesn't like the vets today. There's no one who heard that, you know, he didn't remember LaDavid's name, man, woman, child, camera. The guy doesn't remember anything. He's never liked the military. It's just a matter of getting out the vote, because persuasion ended 4 years ago.
Well, the other thing that people know, Charlie, is they know what's in their pocketbook. There are a lot of people who it's not clear they're going to be able to vote because they've been evicted. And so it's not clear that they have an address with which to vote. There's a lot of people who just can't pay their bills right now, and that's their focus. Let's look at these jobs numbers. I mean, it is a catastrophe. We are at near 1930s levels of catastrophe, economic catastrophe. And it is shocking, I think, to a lot of people. I mean, you've dealt with these people on the radio that can take this kind of pain, this kind of agony and misery and humiliation. Donald Trump obviously doesn't even care about them, whether they live or die. He's like, come to my rally and get COVID. He doesn't care. I do wonder about whether people who are that sucked in and who are that sort of cultified, I wonder, like Jason, if there's any point in looking for persuadables. If you believe in this guy at this point, there's nothing that can take you away from him.
No, that's right. I mean, the cult is not persuadable. I completely agree with that. But I do think that there is a group of voters that is at least on the bubble. And as we get closer to this election, they are going to have to say, can we take 4 more years of this? Is America headed in the right direction? And I think it's